Welcome to Business on the Vine. I'm your host, Lady Jen Du Plessis, and in this dynamic series, we dive into the challenges, breakthroughs, and victories of entrepreneurs who have turned their passion into success. Welcome.
Hey there, it's another Jen's Jot. Wanted to talk to you today about finding versus attracting. I don't know, maybe I should have named it something different, but finding versus attracting. You know, one of the things that I have this process when I meet with potential JV partners and referral partners and things like that. I have a very specific process that I use, and you can find out more about that when you come to one of my master classes or one of my intro to income courses or cash to or conversations to cash. I interchange the names sometimes, but got to be looking out for them. I love teaching them, but I have these very specific 5 questions that I ask. And then, fill it in with other curiosities from the thought of frog, right? The frog method of tell me about your family, recreation, occupation, and goals. But it's kind of mixed in there. But one of the questions that I ask is, tell me a little bit about some of the goals that you have. And inevitably, unless I pre-frame this and set the expectations ahead of time, which I talk about in my course, is that people respond with, my goal is to get leads from you, right? That's my goal. My goal is to get more leads. My goal is to get more leads. Have you heard that before? Right? Have you ever heard that where I need more leads and you need to help me get more leads? I'm looking for more leads. It's amazing how, as partners in business, everyone's seeking each other to get more leads. And I think that's fine. I love playing together. I'll talk about that in another Jen's Jot. But everyone's always looking for leads. And I believe that, I probably talked about this 100 times in, over the last 15 years and in all of the podcasts and speaking that I've done, is that I believe that we have acres of diamonds sitting right underneath our feet. In fact, I think I've done a Jen's Jot on this alone, but we have acres of diamonds sitting right underneath our feet. Why aren't we looking down at these diamonds instead of walking on them and cracking them? Why aren't we picking them up, looking at them, polishing them, giving them attention? We have all this right underneath our feet how many people have we met, right? How many people have you met at networking that you can't even remember you met? You had stacks of business cards. Maybe you put them in your phone and you don't have a method in being able to follow through. Maybe you threw them into your database and you're just marketing the heck out of them, not really nurturing, but marketing that relationship. Maybe you don't even know who you don't remember, right? I have those situations, right? Where I just want to be the card gatherer at a networking event or gathering information, taking pictures with people to put it on our cell phone. I call that being a squirrel, right? You know those people at marketing and networking events. And all we're doing is finding. Oh, and then somebody says, well, now I have a new AI agent that can find you more business, or I'm the best at doing Facebook ads, so I can find you more business, right? There are people that do that all the time, and we're like, yeah, we want more business. No, there's an app, and so when we pay for an app and we do a 7-day free trial, we forget that it's $49 a year or a month or whatever. And we're just looking, we're like cats on a marble floor in oil, right? We're just scrambling all the time, trying to find more leads, trying to find more leads. And a lot of this boils down to, and I find this when I'm coaching my clients, boils down to saying, and I want to make sure I stay on track here because I could just go in so many different directions, but staying clear, being clear, very specifically clear about who you want to attract, right? So we don't want to chase and find and look and seek all the time. We don't have binoculars on. We're always looking for opportunities. And although we do, I get that. We want to do that, but we can't just do that. It's mind-boggling. I feel exhausted even talking about that. What we have is acres of diamonds right underneath us. And what we want to do is we want to get to the point where we are attracting clients rather than chasing them. And I've talked about this before as well. So, again, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole because I want to specifically talk about find versus attract and how you attract clients, how you attract people. But we have to be really clear. And when I'm networking, I always use plumbers. I don't mean to use plumbers. I could say a roofer. I could say, and social media manager. It's being so vague on what you do that it's impossible to attract. So if you're trying to target everyone, you're targeting nobody. If you just want, in fact, I have a chiropractor that said, I just want people with a back, right? And I get that, but not all people, not every single person with a back is going to need your services, your expertise. So what is it that you do that's genius, that is so different from everybody else, right? And so I always use the cookie thing. What I want to do is I want to attract people that like, for example, and this is my story behind this. I want to attract people that love peanut butter cookies because I love peanut butter cookies. I have a peanut butter cookie every day. If it shows, it shows, right? But I do have a peanut butter cookie virtually every single day. So I want to attract people that like peanut butter cookies. So I can't go out and say that I want to talk to everybody who likes cookies because that's too vague. What I want to say is I want to talk to people that like peanut butter cookies. And this is in marketing. This is attracting people that are like-minded, people that say, oh, I love peanut butter cookies, so I need you, right? Solve that problem. Get me more peanut butter cookies. And that attraction then allows for you, once you're talking to them, to share with them all the other things that you do. Say, look, I love peanut butter cookies. That's what I talk about. That's what I coach on. That's what I train on. But I also have a program or products, right? Someone might come in and be talking to you about, let's just say you have a brick and mortar and they come in and they want to talk to you about faucets. And while they're there, you talk to them about countertops, right? But you've attracted them with faucets, and now you can show them the countertops and the flooring and the cabinets. I mean, you can talk to them about all kinds of things. So when you're seeking and constantly chasing leads over, all the time, knowing that you have acres of diamonds underneath you, you can be talking to your database or your community about the fact that, hey, you're in my community. Who do you know that loves peanut butter cookies? Right? It's not if you know anybody. It's not do you know anybody. It's who do you know? So make sure you're writing that down. It's not, again, it's not if you know anybody. I even heard Les Brown say this on an interview the other day. It's like, if you know anybody, someone said, well, who's this event for? And he said, well, anybody who. That's one of the worst ways to respond. I love Les. You all know I love Les. But it's one of the worst ways to respond is anybody who has a business, anybody who wants to grow their business. It's too vague. We need to be very specific. A better way for him to have said that is, who do you know who talks about working long hours and they're exhausted, or is glorifying busyness, or never has time for anybody, is skimming and surface level on everything that they're doing. That's who it's for, because we want to get them out of that hustle and get them into that harmony. So it's more specific because now you can visualize people that are actually acting like that, as opposed to anybody who has a business, anybody who has a back. And this is why it's so hard for us to find new leads all the time, because we're not looking at the people that we already have who can introduce us and be bird dogs, right? To introduce us to people. The bird dog, if you don't know what a bird dog is, it's when you're hunting, the dog goes out and the dog comes back and says, I found birds, go get them, right? And that's what we want. We want our acres of diamonds to be doing, but we also need to be doing the same thing. We need to be attracting people that we want to work with. Another example is I work with top tier successful business owners who feel unsuccessful in their personal lives because they're still tethered to the hustle of their business. And I want to take them from hustle to harmony so that they can chase other dreams instead of being tied to the minutia of their business every day. So mine's very specific in that if you see someone hustling and they're very successful, but they're still hustling, they're still on their phone, they're constantly on their phone, they're constantly walking what I call a concrete balance beam, right? Outside on the curb, they're talking and walking, walking, talking. When they're out there doing that and they're really successful, then there's a gap. There's a gap in their personal life. They're making excuses for why they can't be on time for family things, let alone business. If someone you're meeting with is right, someone that you've met with before, or you have a meeting scheduled and they come hurriedly in and you perceive them as a very successful person, but they're coming in very hurriedly and sorry, I had to take care of this, that, and the other. That's a perfect client for me because that's a person who hasn't developed their management or leadership skills to a level that allows for them to delegate so that they can go out and have fun, so they can be doing what they love to do, which is maybe being the rainmaker and meeting you, but being there on time. So those are symptoms of a bigger problem that they have. But my question to you is, can you articulate that? Can you articulate your before and your after, what their problem is, what you solve for them? And the pathway to get there is what coaching or your product is. Your product is the pathway to get there. It's a roadmap. This is the problem. This is the end result that they're looking for. And then what you offer is in between. And so often we're just talking about what we offer. We just need leads, because, I want to, give people better social media. Well, I don't want better social media. What I want is something from the better social media. Is that making sense? So find versus attract. Yes, go out and find people, but when you're doing it, do it in an attractive way. And don't forget that you have a database or a community of people that are willing to help you find that person, but you have to be specific. You have to ask them, who do you know who just runs around like a chicken with their head cut off? They're very successful in their business, but they just run around like a chicken with their head cut off. I want that type of client because I want to help them go from hustle to harmony. That's how you need to be pushing forward with people, right? Making sure that people fully understand exactly what you do, not selling everything to everybody and selling nothing, selling only to specific people and attracting only the people that you want to serve. You can serve everybody. I promise you can. Later, you can, but only attracting the people that you want to serve. And you know what? If there's someone who comes to you and they just like, I thought I liked peanut butter cookies, but I really don't. My real problem is I want oatmeal raisin cookies. Then find a partner that you can send that referral to. Say, you know what? I'm sorry, I don't think this is the right time for us to be working together. But I do know somebody who can help you and let me connect you with them. Don't try to serve everybody just because. Stay in your tranche, stay in your lane, and you're going to find that people will show up all over the place asking for you to serve them. Hope that's been helpful. So your role is not your role, your action task today. I always say your call to action today, right? Your call to action today is reframe the question. If you know anybody or anybody who, get rid of that and start saying, who do you know? Set aside time to call your database and ask them, hey, the reason I'm calling is because I'm expanding my business and I'm looking for people who do this, that, and the other, are looking for this or have this problem and want this result. Who do you know? Put that in your calendar and start doing that on a weekly basis. Just asking 5 people a week, 1 a day if you want, right? But I think once you get into the rhythm, it's easy to pick up the phone. It's easy to contact them. But oh my gosh, it's so fun to do. And you'll find that you have business all the time and it removes the binoculars every single day. It allows for you to use the binoculars when you need to. But wow, what a great business when you're getting plethoras of referrals as opposed to you running out and seeking and finding and being that cat on a marble floor. So I'll catch you next time on this podcast.
Thank you for joining us on Business on the Vine. If you found value in today's conversation and would like additional support, go to supportfromjen.com. Remember, the best ideas are always discovered on the Vine, so keep innovating, stay inspired, and continue to grow.